Hi, I'm Stefan Krause, Chief Executive of PHARMAC. PHARMAC's the government agency that is part of the health system and decides what medicines will be funded for New Zealanders. Well, PHARMAC's role is to decide which medicines get funded by government in New Zealand. And countries can't afford absolutely every medicine that would be available, so our challenge is to determine those medicines that really are going to offer the best health for New Zealanders. And there's really three areas that we look at with regard to that. First is the clinical, that's really how well the medicine works. The economic side we're interested in too, which is how much health do we get in quality and duration for the money that's being spent. And the third is in the commercial area, which is really whether we're getting New Zealanders the best deal. So altogether that's a high-level summary of PHARMAC's role in respect to medicines. PHARMAC goes through an intensive evaluation of medicines or applications for funding, in essence, that come to us mostly from pharmaceutical companies. So there's three areas that PHARMAC's really focusing on when it's evaluating applications for funding new medicines. The clinical, so how well a medicine works, and we get substantial advice from expert advisors, practicing doctors for the most part, and there's over 80 experts that we draw on with different areas of expertise. Collectively, the advice comes from the Pharmacology and Therapeutics Advisory Committee, and you might have heard of them referred to as PHARMAC, and that's obviously a shorter way of referring to them. The important part about evaluating clinical, and then economic, and then the commercial aspects of a funding application is so that we can understand what funds we're saving, what funds we are spending, because every dollar we save is a dollar that we can use to invest in new medicines or invest in other health services. And so that's why PHARMAC's role is very important within the process of medicines supply, funding and use within the New Zealand context. An important thing to recognise really is that no country can afford to fund every medicine, and there's a lot of increasing use, both from more people accessing more prescriptions, and as we invest in new medicines, the cost typically is rising. So it's really incumbent on PHARMAC then to see how we can get best value for money out of our existing expenditure on medicines. And we do that so that we can make savings to invest in other medicines. So each dollar is a dollar that can be used on a new treatment or a new procedure within the hospital setting or wherever it's going to be chosen to be used. But that's an important feature of the PHARMAC system. The final decision about what medicines are funded and what decisions are taken in regard to how we might save money on our existing portfolio of funded medicines are made by the PHARMAC board. The PHARMAC board doesn't make decisions in isolation. There's a process of obtaining advice, particularly from clinical and medical specialists, but also consultation, because community views and views of industry and other stakeholders are really important to us as we go through this decision-making process. The aim is that the board is in a position where it has all the relevant information, including the impacts on important stakeholders, before it takes a decision about funding a medicine or altering the funding of an existing one. So for more information you can watch the next video, or you could go to PHARMAC's website, pharmac.govt.nz, where you'll find a range of useful information sheets that explain these matters further.